What's up guys, today we will be going over what is the God Roll rocket launcher currently in Destiny 2 and how important is impact casing as your barrel option. You probably have heard this one before. I just got a God Rolled rocket launcher. It has cluster bomb, field prep, then your buddy goes, impact casing? And you go, no. And they're like, oh, not the God Roll. So, does impact casing really matter in terms of a God Roll? If you don't have impact casing, does that mean throw it away? Is impact casing a must? That's what this video is going to be breaking down and seeing overall what impact casing does and also determine if it is a must-have item. So as you see, I have a rocket launcher with impact casing without cluster. I'm going to go ahead and test the difference between the two. So first, without impact casing on, go ahead and shoot at the ogre. And I hit 4588 and 1310 as the two numbers. Now putting impact casing on the exact same rocket launcher, shoot again. And now I hit 4588 then 1441. So here are the two numbers up on the screen. As you can see, the only difference is the smaller number, which is the impact of the rocket. And the total damage of both rockets is right there, and impact casing only adds 2.2% more damage on the base rocket explosion. And when you add cluster bomb to the equation, that extra 2.2% of total damage that impact casing provides is actually a smaller number because the total damage with cluster bombs is even higher, meaning that percent increase is even smaller in the long run when you're using cluster bombs. And I noticed going for direct impacts isn't actually the most optimal way of using cluster bombs at all. For most situations, aiming at their feet or below them will cause the most cluster bombs to hit, which means you're not even going for direct impacts. So if most of the time with clusters you don't even want to direct impact, why does it matter if you have impact casing? So what is the God Roll? Well, obviously cluster bomb is a must. Then in my opinion, the best option for the other perk is field prep. And what does field prep do? Well, it does two things for you. One, it gives an extra rocket to your reserves, which means you can have 7, then with 2 reserves up to 9. Then also when you're crouched, it reloads much faster than when you're not crouched, as you see right here. And when you go from 6 to 7 rockets, that extra rocket adds 16.7% more overall damage, so in a way, you're increasing your damage with the perk field prep. But some people like tracking, which comes on the curated Bad Omens, but one thing to keep in mind is Hake rocket launchers actually have tracking built in, so for those type of rockets you can have both at the same time, but then for other rockets you can get tracking then cluster at the same time, which comes on the curated Bad Omens, which you get from your second rank up of Gambit. But don't get me wrong, impact casing is still probably your best overall choice for your magazine option on rocket launchers. There are ones that increase things like blast radius or velocity or reload or something like that. And impact casing is the only one that adds damage. Yes, it's only 2.2%, but that's still extra damage. But in my opinion, it's not a make or break at all. The things that are more important are obviously cluster, then field prep, or tracking if you prefer tracking, but obviously I prefer field prep. There are just many other things about rocket launchers that are more important to worry about that will impact the use of your rocket a lot more. For example, the mod on it, if you're in the raid with Taken spec, I believe it's 25% more damage to Taken enemies. If you're using Lam Riven, that's a huge buff to damage. If you're not in the raid, if you're just fighting regular bosses, boss spec adds 7.8% more damage. So those things add up a lot more than impact casing. And even more importantly, what rocket launcher you have these perks on. So what is the best rocket launcher in the game currently? So for this test, I'm going to take a 15 RPM rocket launcher without impact casing versus a 25 RPM rocket launcher without impact casing either, and ignore cluster bomb on this test just for the base impact. The 15 RPM hits 4588 and then 1310. Testing the rate of fire of the weapon, shooting all 5 rockets. See how long it takes. It takes 5.741 seconds. Now we're going to go ahead with the Bad Omens, which is 25 RPM. And the base impact hits 4588 and 1310, the exact same number as the 25 RPM one. Now testing the rate of fire of this weapon, shooting 5 rockets again. Takes 4.412 seconds, which is 30% faster rate of fire, and since they do the same damage per explosion, that's also a 30% higher damage per second. So the only difference between 15 and 25 RPM rocket launchers is their blast radius, which does not affect damage in any way. It just affects the radius that the bomb explodes and can hit. But when you're shooting at just a single target, that does not matter at all, resulting in the higher rate of fire is doing more damage per second. So what is the God Roll rocket launcher currently? Well, it's a Bad Omens with cluster bomb, in my opinion, field prep or tracking. And if you have impact casing, go for it. If not, it's going to be just as good in almost every way. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.